I call to order and welcome you to the Middletown, Ohio regular City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Please join me for a moment of meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. You will hear 3 taps of the gavel when it is time to stand. Please join me for a moment of meditation now. Clerk of Council, Mrs. Amy Skank, please call the attendance roll.
Mr. Lawley. Present. Mrs. Carter.
Present.
Mr. West.
Here.
Mr. Horn.
Here.
Mayor Slamka.
Here. Thank you. The first item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. While the consent agenda is generally for consensus items, do any council members wish to remove anything from the consent agenda this evening and move it to the motion agenda?
No.
Seeing none, we will continue. Mrs. Skank, please present the consent agenda.
For your consideration this evening, we have the approval of the City Council minutes of June 3rd, 2025, to confirm the promotional appointments of Brian Wright to the position of Fire Chief in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, and of Eric Mertz to the position of Equipment Operator in the Department of Public Works and Utilities, Division of Street Maintenance, to receive and file the following Board and Commission minutes: the Airport Commission of February 3rd and March 17th, 2025, the Park Board of February 10th, March 10th, and April 14th, 2025, the Board of Zoning Appeals from April 2nd and May 7th, 2025, the Library Board of April 16th, 2025, the Historic Commission from April 17th, 2025, the Board of Health from May 13th, 2025, and to receive and file an oath of office for Dale Moore.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. We will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Yeses have it. The motion passes. The next item on the agenda this evening is our swearing-in ceremony. I would like to invite Judge James Sharon and Fire Chief Brian Wright to the podium, please.
Thank you. You ready to meet you? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let's do it. Raise your right hand.
I, Brian Wright,
I, Brian Wright,
do most solemnly swear
do most solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that of the State of Ohio,
that of the State of Ohio,
and the laws of the State of Ohio,
and the laws of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Middletown, Ohio,
of the City of Middletown, Ohio,
that I will not be influenced
that I will not be influenced
by any consideration except that of merit and fitness
except that of merit and fitness
in the appointment or discharge of employees,
in the appointment or discharge of employees,
that I will not make or authorize expenditures
that I will not make or authorize expenditures
of public money other than for adequate consideration
of public money other than that for adequate consideration
and efficient service,
and efficient service,
and that I will in all respects
and that I will in all respects
faithfully discharge the duties
faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Fire Chief
of the Office of Fire Chief
of the City of Middletown,
of the City of Middletown,
Butler, and Warren Counties,
Butler, and Warren Counties,
State of Ohio.
State of Ohio.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What's that?
Looks like a doctor's signature.
It makes it harder to read. I'll make it brief. I know you have a long evening ahead of you. First and foremost, Mayor, Council, City Manager, thank you for this opportunity to represent the fire department and the men and women who serve you day in and day out. They're truly the best, in my opinion, around. You're fortunate to have them. They're second to none. Second, thanks to my family. They've been a support through the long haul, through all this, through all the ups and downs. And then, just chiefs across the state. I got chiefs from a recent class all the way down from Columbus, so the support has been overwhelming. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda, we have our public hearing regarding the Midpoint Library 2026 tax budget. And our law director, Mr. Alex Ewing, you have the floor to do the swearing in.
Anyone that is planning on speaking today in the public hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand?
Any
All right, please.
public here.
No, that's okay.
I solemnly swear that any testimony I give today in this public hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ewing. So this evening, this public hearing is a little bit different. It's from the usual. Just to let you know, each year, by state statute, the Midpoint Library must hold a public hearing for their tax budget. As the City of Middletown is the taxing authority for the Midpoint Library system, we provide the space and authority for this public hearing. So first, we would like to hear from the Midpoint Library representatives, Ms. Emily Foote and Mr. Travis Spence.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Emily Foote. I am the fiscal officer of the Midpoint Library System, and we are here today to discuss the 2026 budget. However, before I do, Travis is going to highlight some significant events and what happened in the library since the last time we were here.
Hello, Council. Thank you for having us. So I left you some promotional materials. Summer is our busiest time of the year, so I just wanted to highlight some of those activities coming on. So at all locations, it's our summer reading activities. There's also programs and events for all ages. You can win prizes just for reading books. So help your kids fight that summer slide, keep their minds sharp, and get them ready for school, which will be here before you know it. So there's a booklet that lists all of our programs system-wide, and those are all free. At Middletown specifically, we are in partnership with the United States Department of Agriculture. We're once again a summer lunch site. So in communities where they have high free and reduced lunch populations, they offer us a opportunity to provide lunches to families with kids. So it's anyone under the age of 18. They can come in Monday through Friday at noon and get a free lunch. And again, that's in partnership with the USDA. We also have, and there's a flyer I left for you, our Innovation Point, which is our new makerspace at the Middletown location. It has a sound booth and photo studio, vinyl printer, and some other button makers, some other things that residents might like. In fact, my grandmother is turning 100 next week, so I did a banner for the front yard, and the staff designed it and everything, and she has a pet bird, and I even somehow managed to work the bird into the artwork, so I was really impressed. So if you're looking for a banner or anything on a vinyl printer, I recommend it. You can record your podcast or take photos for your Etsy business, whatever you might need there at that location. Then August 16th, there's a flyer in your handouts for a Touch-a-Truck event, which is for kids. District-wide, we're having some additional community bookmobile stops. That's a bookmark in your packet there. And then we're offering expanded holds pickup. So smart lockers that you've seen from Amazon and other vendors, we're expanding those and offering those around our district as well, so that we have options for people to pick up their holds or their materials any hour that they choose. So turning to the 2026 budget, I'll hand it back over to Emily.
Thank you, Travis. If you have a look in your packet, I've provided you the 2026 paperwork that outlines the estimates for the library's revenues and expenditures for the coming year. By way of review, since you are the taxing authority for the Midpoint Library, I'm here bringing forth the 2026 budget for your review, which will then be sent to the Butler County Auditor for approval. The 2026 revenues for our general fund are estimated to be $12,488,700, and the expenditures will be $12,031,718. With that, I will be happy to answer any questions for you that you may have to pass this forward.
At this time, does council have any questions or comments? No. I was fortunate enough to be at the meeting where you went over everything, so everything's looking really good, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. Anything else?
That's all.
All right, thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
So at this point, if there's anybody who would like to speak in support of, let me see your hand. No? Okay, and then this time, anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to? In opposition, I see no one. And then anybody who would just like to speak on a neutral basis? All right, I see no one. In that case, this concludes the public comment portion of the public hearing. Council deliberations are next. We encourage you to stay through, though there will be no further public comment at this time, so no interruptions. At this time, also, council, any deliberations? All right, seeing none, this concludes our public hearing. The next item on the agenda this evening are our citizen comments. A professional presentation free of foul language is expected. This is not the time for debate, questions and answer, or any back and forth conversation. This is a time for you, our residents, to be able to present in front of council on record, uninterrupted, and have the floor. We have received, I believe, 10 comment cards this evening. Let me just check. Yes, 10 comment cards this evening. I will prompt each speaker for their next steps when they reach the podium. I would first like to call Marva Gaston, Ms. Marva Gaston, to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence, work address, or interest in the city for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Yes, my name is Marva Gaston. I reside at 913 6th Avenue, Middletown. I'm sure you feel you have done a good thing by lowering the pile of debris to make it more pleasing to the eye. Your knee-jerk reaction to the situation did nothing towards a real plan to resolve the issue. You did nothing more than bring more attention to the very kids I cautioned would find it appealing to climb. You compromised the pile as it was crusted from the rain and snow that I learned helped to minimize dust, even though it was still massive. All you have done is created a wind runway, a clear path for the wind to really ramp up and gather more dust and dirt in a whooping swoop. You took no safety measures to keep everything wet and or covered to minimize the effects of additional dust and debris floating in the air. It is simple-minded thinking that would suggest, by pushing the pile over, that residents would be pleased. We will not be pleased until the health hazards is removed from our neighborhood. Not one grain was removed from the site, which is the main objective as far as I'm concerned. It is apparent that the city has no true plan as to how and when this material is to be used and or removed, with exception to the 9 yards of the 33 yards to be used in an upcoming project within the next 4 to 6 weeks, according to city engineer, Mr. Bill Horst, thus leaving the residents in the area at risk of the remaining 24 yards until you figure it out. It is also evident that the city feels no obligation to communicate. Effective communication consists of two-way interaction. Much of my frustration has been the lack of communication from city officials on any level. It took over 6 weeks for anyone to contact me, though you made sure to take my number. I spoke with Mayor Slomka on Friday and Mr. Tadish on this past Monday, though in both conversations, we did have good conversations, and I'm sure they both learned some things about me and my outlook for the city. Neither could give me clear answers on how the city planned to rectify this issue. In my opinion, that is problematic in itself. Lack of communication creates misunderstanding and does not lead to solution nor resolution. The city's lack of communication and feedback has left me feeling unheard and feeling as though the city places very little importance on this matter. Each time I have addressed council, I have asked that we sit down and try to collectively find a solution. My expectation was that having brought this issue before council, we would discuss ways to resolve the issue collectively. You can't expect community support when you only want a small portion of our involvement. Councilman Lally, your nonverbal swipe of your arms when demanding that we be patient was triggering. It was as if you were telling me and other residents to sit down and let us do this our way. We are not children. We will not be censored nor shut down when it comes to decisions that affect our city. After all, it's been a year, and it's obvious that there was no plan other than to keep this material where it is with no regard to the residents in the area. So again, I ask that we sit and have a civil conversation about how to move forward and hope that we can reach an amicable solution towards this situation. If you don't want to do that, then please let me know where I need to send my medical bills to, because as Mr. Tadish mentioned, it would be expensive. I ask that you compare the cost of removing the material versus the vast lawsuits to follow as residents become ill and want the city to pay the bill. I know what I am feeling in my throat, chest, and when I walk, my sweaty hands are gritty if I rub them together. You cannot tell me that we are not being affected by this material being stored in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. Next, I would like to call Mr. Sam Ashworth to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the city record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Sam Ashworth, 1912, Antrim Court. Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor, council members, city manager, and city staff. First, I would like to invite you to attend the Miami and Erie Canal Bicentennial Celebration to be held this coming July 21st at 11 a.m. at the first dig site at the corner of Verity Parkway and Yankee Road. If you don't already know, the site was the scene 200 years ago for the beginning of the Miami Canal, right here in Middletown. The celebration is being sponsored by the Middletown Historical Society in cooperation with Downtown Middletown, Inc. and the City of Middletown. A formal invitation will be coming shortly, but I wanted to mention this tonight. Next, some words about preservation. For the past 60 years, the Middletown Historical Society has been active preserving the rich history of our community, guided by our motto, preserving the past in the present for the future. In 2020, the Society honored the centennial of the Manchester Hotel by featuring the building at our annual dinner. In addition, we conducted a survey through our website and on social media to gauge how people felt about preserving the hotel. We received 691 responses with a 94% rate in favor of preservation. These results were not surprising, however, because the spirit of preservation has been alive in Middletown for many years. In the 1920s, Sam Finkelman purchased the Sorg Opera House and the Sorg Mansion and preserved the buildings, a tradition his son Harry carried on for many years with these and other properties. In 1978, the South Main Street Historic District was created with 81 structures originally, most of which were and still are privately owned homes. Since then, the City of Middletown has designated 4 other historic districts, guided by the Historic Preservation Plan adopted by the city in 1980 to provide guidance and direction to the interest of preserving the heritage of Middletown. Middletown citizens with properties in these districts have steadfastly adhered to these guidelines, investing tens of thousands of dollars towards preservation and renovation. Middletown citizens are now looking for the city to make every effort to preserve the historic buildings the city presently owns. The effort will not be easy, but it will be worthwhile, as has been demonstrated by our neighbor city to the south. I urge the members of this council to follow the lead of its citizens and honor this long commitment to preservation. A quote I recently found sums it up best. Preservation takes more than policy. It takes people protecting the places that define us. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Ashworth. Next, I would like to call Gabe Schenlein to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown address for the city record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Gabe Shaneline, 121 South Main Street. Good evening, Mayor Slampa and City Council. My comments today are in regards to 4 signature historic downtown buildings that this council is putting up for potential demolition in a planned August 2025 vote. I'm speaking on behalf of the South Main and Highlands Historic Association, the Middletown Historical Society along with Sam, and the coalition that we formed called Save Downtown Middletown. First, I will provide a brief recap of this issue. Second, I will ask this council a very important question and ask each of you to address it in your responses today. At a May City Council meeting, council members recently stated their openness to voting in favor of demolishing the Manchester, Sunshine, First National Bank, and Knights of Columbus buildings, your openness to doing it. This is a highly questionable proposition, considering that Middletown is vastly underperformed in its downtown revitalization effort compared to other cities in our region, that demolition of historic buildings may result in loss of millions of dollars in potential grants in the future, and that demolition of these buildings is at odds with our comprehensive plan, our downtown strategic plan, and the wishes of stakeholders and citizens alike. The following items, at a minimum, should be addressed before making a decision of this magnitude. Number 1, if City Council members believe that any of these buildings are structurally unstable, they should present proof to the public before voting on demolition. Number 2, if City Council members believe that it would be economically infeasible to carry out minimum maintenance and security measures to protect any of these buildings, they should present proof to the public before voting on demolition. If City Council members believe that demolishing any of these buildings will make downtown Middletown more attractive to developers and investors, they should present proof to the public before voting on demolition. Even if adequate proof of these conditions is provided, City Council members should not move forward with demolition of any of these buildings unless they have official plans for what will replace these buildings and developers in hand. Furthermore, these plans need to be incorporated into an up-to-date, firmly established, comprehensive downtown development plan. In the June 3rd council meeting, I was encouraged to hear each of you assure us that you had not made up your minds about voting for demolition yet. Also encouraging were your recommendations about how we can help renew this effort and support your decision-making. I've already had great conversations with the mayor and vice mayor. I'm planning to have conversations. Councilman Lawley and Councilman Horn agreed to meet with me, and Councilwoman Carter, I hope we can talk soon. We are following your recommendations in earnest, collaborating with city staff at the Downtown Refresh working sessions to develop a new RFQ, engaging developers, grant foundations, and staff from other cities, and gathering as much information as we can about council and city staff's recent activities and decisions regarding this issue. You have given us an arbitrary deadline with a very short window to carry out this massive amount of work, which we are doing for free on top of our day jobs, but we are all in. Here's my first request. It is time for each of you to demonstrate your seriousness about this issue. I respectfully ask that each of you provide your decisional criteria for your potential vote on demolition, in detail, with clarity. If you have already made up your mind, say so now. If you have not nailed down your criteria for making these decisions and plan to wing it, say so now. If you know what you need to see come August to vote no on demolition, please tell us now. I want to close on this thought. This council has proudly branded itself as one that is willing to take swift and decisive action. I'm holding my applause at the moment because if your decision-making process and decisional criteria are inadequate, your swift and decisive decision-making amounts to nothing more than impulsivity. Please do not be impulsive with the future of our downtown. Thank you all for your time. Thanks for your service to this community, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Shaneline. I would next like to call Ms. Jade Smarta to the podium. and you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Thank you. Jade Smarta, 121 South Main. I was here at the last council meeting, and I'm here again to share comments about economic development in our historic downtown. As a reminder, I don't support preservation solely out of nostalgia. I'm here out of grave concern that the city might demo the type of buildings that comparable cities have used to stage their comebacks. We need to be thinking 50 to 100 years out, not 10 to 20. And that's because Sin-Day is growing and Middletown will fill up one way or another. But we need people to choose Middletown for the right reasons. So what do we plan to offer them? Hamilton is a great role model, and I'm glad to hear there's a dialogue, but the city should also be talking to Dayton, Lebanon, Miamisburg, Covington. There are success stories all around us, and if we are not borrowing from all of the relevant playbooks, then we are not giving ourselves a real chance. And what examples and developers should we be looking at? The Dayton Arcade, Hotel Covington in Kentucky. Have you heard of the Cannery Loft Apartments in downtown Dayton? It is a brick compound of 6 former industrial buildings, much older than the Manchester, that have been turned into apartments. And it has come to anchor the East 3rd Historic District and supports the type of storefronts that Middletown wishes to attract. We should be looking at that playbook too. We don't want new construction apartments or new office space downtown, at least not until we repurpose our old buildings like First National and the Manchester as well. And why? Why do we care so much about that? A lot of it is financial. New cannot compete long-term with historic. People my age and younger are attracted to brick, awnings, wrought iron, etc. They're commodities in limited supply. But modern, we can get that anywhere. It can be produced in bulk. So why come to Middletown for it? Plus, the novelty wears off quickly, and the new buildings not built to last will date us within 10 years. The right developers are out there, and we know that because we see their work product in our neighboring historic downtowns. It's everywhere. As a counterpoint against repurposing, we've been told that the Manchester has old components that need to be updated. Of course it does. That's not unusual, and it's not a deal breaker. As a counterpoint against repurposing, we've also been told that Hamilton had to tear down a few buildings to make way for its revitalization. I believe it, of course it did, but it didn't tear down its best buildings. One thing mentioned at the last meeting is that the Sorg Opera House is one of the best things we've got going for us, and we should support it. We agree, and we do. And more non-local people will come to the Sorg and enjoy dinner and beverages, especially if they've got someplace to stay overnight. Same for out-of-towners who attend weddings at the Windermere and in soccer tournaments at Smith Park. We've got these old buildings and a beautiful riverfront, and they set the stage to make Middletown a true weekend destination. We hope the city's committed to working with us. We had a great group session on June 12th with city staff. We thank Mayor Slamka for being there. We're gonna get you feedback on the RFQ, and while that RFQ process and brainstorming is playing out, we ask council to slow down, let us cook. Meanwhile—
Thank you, that's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would now like to call Ms. Heather Gibson to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Heather Gibson, 3215 Morgan Street, also owner of Triple Moon Coffee downtown. Good evening, Mayor and fellow council members. I'm here tonight to follow up on my email to all of you from last week. I come not just as a resident and a business owner, but also someone who is deeply worried about the future of Middletown as we talk about redevelopment in downtown and really the whole city. In the past 2 weeks alone, 2 people in our area downtown have been harmed in violent incidents involving individuals experiencing homelessness. These 2 incidents have honestly left me and many others in our community very shaken. And yet again, I come to you extremely concerned. Let me say clearly, homelessness it is a complex human issue. It deserves compassion, but what it doesn't deserve, and what our citizens shouldn't have to live with, is fear, danger, and inaction. What's happening in Middletown, especially in our downtown, and our business areas, is not safe. It's not sustainable, and it's not fair to the people who live, work, and raise families here. We have customers harassed, employees followed, families avoiding downtown completely, employees afraid to go take the trash to the dumpsters. People are afraid to walk to their cars. These aren't perceptions of safety issues. These are real events happening to real people. I've spoken to other business owners and neighbors. We're not heartless. We don't want people treated without dignity. Tearing homeless camps down is not helping. Not helping them, it's not helping us. We are hurting everyone, including the unhoused, by doing this. We are calling on you, our leaders, to act. We need immediate emergency shelter options, more mental health crisis teams that can respond alongside our police department, clear enforcement of our laws and our ordinances that protect public safety, allow businesses and families to function without fear, and to ensure that our spaces are safe and usable for everyone. We need a real strategy. We need timelines. We need accountability, not just more talk and more Band-Aids. We are asking for balance, safety with compassion, enforcement with support, and a long-term solution alongside immediate action. This city, we have a heart. We've weathered economic storms, we've weathered loss, we've weathered hardship, but right now we are losing our grip on what makes Middletown feel like a home. If you doubt what I'm saying, walk the streets, talk to the business owners, talk to the kids, talk to the people downtown, sit in my shop for an hour and watch what you see. We are not anti-homeless, we are anti-neglect, and neglect of both the unhoused and the housed is exactly what is happening in this city right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we need action before someone else gets hurt, before more businesses close, before more Middletown's hopes slip away, because honestly, we can't expect a brighter future if we can't fix our present issues. The community is watching you, and we are ready to help you. We are ready to partner with you. We are ready to serve this community, but we need you to lead the charge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. Next, I would like to call Mr. Lenny Robinson to the podium.
Good evening, Lenny Robinson, 6408 Lindsay Court, Franklin Township, Ohio. Hey, I just wanted to give you an update from 2 weeks ago. And first of all, I hope everyone got the link so that you could watch some of the programs that we were able to produce. Very proud of what the kids were able to do, that we had high school kids working all the cameras. Very excited that we have a very talented crew lined up to produce the parade, so we're looking forward to that. I found out that the parade is not being organized by the City of Middletown. That's my bad. It's organized by an outside group. I did speak with one of the heads of that committee yesterday, and I'm only bringing this to your attention. There seems to be a disconnect between that organization and the City of Middletown, so much so they didn't want Middletown associated with the parade. I said, well, this is being sponsored by the city of Middletown to put it on TV. So we are going to promote that who brung us. So I just wanted to pass that along. We had a great meeting last Wednesday with the city manager and the communications manager, along with Jason Dudley from the ICRC. And Councilwoman Carter, I want to let you know there was a great dialogue between the ICRC executive director and the communications director for Middletown, that there is no conflict there at all. I think Mrs. Combs can confirm that as well. This was a great opportunity to talk about how to get the message out to many more platforms, not only linear, but also all the streaming platforms, and what the ICRC could do to help in content creation, use the new podcast studios that they have available. It was just a very good meeting. Probably the best thing to come out of that was they really would like to have Middletown a part of their group, and Middletown would be a member of the board, and they're dropping the fee to a flat fee by $60,000, and that's a significant drop. But it was just a very, very good meeting. They talked about how they can help even here, for example. If the city needs new cameras in here, that would be part of the package at no cost to the city to put new cameras in to help get them installed. If there's help needed to run, if you have someone not able to do the programs to get them out because of vacation or sickness, whatever, they have the people that can step in and do that. So just a very, very good, positive meeting. We're looking forward to getting the parade produced. We've got a lot of questions answered by the city manager and the communications director. I also want to put a shout out to the library because I was able to find when the first parade in Middletown happened on the 4th of July, and it was a long time ago, back early 1800s. So nice to be able to get that kind of information. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I just wanted to give you that update. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Next, I would like to call Ms. Mika Glazer-Jones to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into it at all times. And before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Good evening, Mayor Slamka and City Council members. My name is Mika Glazer-Jones, and I own 2 South Main Street, also known as the Windermere Event Venue. This week marks 10 years since my husband and I closed on our building, which at the time was owned by the City of Middletown. We financed the purchase ourselves with the help of an SBA loan and without the benefit of historic tax credits. We were highly motivated to open as soon as possible and successfully completed renovations in just 4 months, officially opening the Windermere in October of 2015. When we made the decision to invest in downtown Middletown, we were full of hope and optimism for the area's revitalization. Although we didn't live in Middletown at the time, we further invested by purchasing a home that we now live in since 2018. We still hold hope and optimism for this area, even though the downtown has not progressed the way we had envisioned. While the effects of COVID cannot be denied, a major factor in the lack of progress has been the non-enforcement of the vacant property legislation, Ordinance 1458, which has been in effect since April of 2019. Many buildings in our downtown have sat vacant, not for just 5 years, but for an entire decade. Let's translate that into actual dollars lost that could have been recouped and reinvested with enforcement. A clear example is the Getz Tower on the corner of Main and Central. If the vacant property legislation had been enforced, and if the owner had been required to register the building as vacant and pay the appropriate fees, this individual would have owed the city approximately $18,400 in the penalties since 2019. This absentee owner also owns the Rose Building, which remains a boarded-up storefront and a visible eyesore on South Main. These are just 2 examples. There are at least 20 additional vacant buildings in the urban core central district. If enforcement had been consistent over the past 6 years, the city could have collected more than $368,000 in fees. Imagine what could have been accomplished. These fees could have been directly supporting building improvement grants, roofs, or programs to recruit building owners willing to invest in and revitalize these properties. In my opinion, the current registration fee, $200 for residential and $400 for commercial properties, is not sufficient. especially when some owners control multiple buildings and have taken no visible action to improve or activate them. We can look at this as a loss, not just the missed fees, but the economic opportunity lost. But I believe that we, as a city and a community, have an opportunity. Imagine with me the impact that enforcing the vacant property legislation could have. Motivated owners will renovate and lease their spaces. New business will choose downtown and bring jobs here. Income and payroll taxes will increase. Activity will increase foot traffic and visitors. Growth will boost civic pride and downtown vibrancy. We can stay right where we are as of today with over 60% of our downtown vacant. This is primarily due to unmotivated owners who face no pressure to act. It's disheartening to see so many potential storefronts gathering dust when they could be bustling with activity. A vibrant downtown is a clear indicator of a city's overall health. Right now, our indicator says Middletown is on life support, but I believe that the vacant property legislation properly enforced could be the lifeline we need. It could be the tool that we finally sparks movement, holds property owners accountable, and encourages reinvestment. With increased occupancy, we could attract developers interested in larger scale transformative projects. It's time to move forward. It's time to hold building owners accountable, and it's time to give our downtown the chance it deserves. With 5 to 6 staff members in code enforcement, I respectfully ask that the council and city leadership prioritize enforcement of this ordinance. The revenue from registration fees alone could fund a dedicated staff position to administer and enforce vacant property legislation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would next like to call Ms. Mary Johnson to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence for the record. You will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
Mary Johnson, 6700 Locust Lane, Chair DMI, Co-Chair Middletown Pride Committee. Main Street America and its subsequent organizations like Heritage Ohio and Downtown Middletown, Inc. are founded on the premise that a cornerstone for preservation of historic neighborhoods and buildings is commercial revitalization. Main Street America leads an inclusive, impact-driven movement dedicated to re-energizing and strengthening older and historic downtowns and neighborhood commercial districts nationwide. Main streets are for everyone. Everyone should have access to an inclusive and resilient Main Street, a place that has thriving local economy, is distinctive and rich in character, and features welcoming spaces and diverse businesses for residents and visitors alike. DMI models and champions this vision through our actions and programs. With this in mind, I would like to share 2 major events that DMI is hosting in the coming weeks. First, this Friday, June 20th, marks the 8th anniversary of the Middletown Pride Festival. DMI acts as a fiscal agent for Middletown Pride. We believe that our downtown is for everyone. We want to celebrate our LGBTQ+ community and their family, friends, and allies by hosting several events at Governor Square from 5 to 9 p.m. The events include our signature family-friendly drag show, Madame Gigi's outrageous French can-can dancers, a silent disco, among many other free activities such as face painting and our glitter station. Many of our downtown businesses will be open late and offering Pride specials. After parties will be held at our local bars, breweries, and distilleries. The Pride Festival draws about 3,000 people and is a major economic generator for our downtown businesses. A huge thank you to the city for providing services and other support, including police security, and to our sponsors for their generosity. The second event is the Middletown Canal Bicentennial Parade and Festival planned for July 26. The historic theme of the festival provides a unique opportunity to showcase Middletown's history and foster civic pride. The Miami-Erie Canal is woven into the fabric and history of Middletown. The groundbreaking for the canal occurred on July 21, 1825 in Middletown, Ohio. Completed in 1845, the canal stretched from Cincinnati on the Ohio River to Toledo on Lake Erie. By 1832, over 1,000 passengers a week were using the waterway. Freight boats hauled farm goods, building supplies, and other commodities along the canal and throughout the region. The canal was a catalyst for economic growth and prosperity for Middletown and the surrounding communities. Importantly, the canal was also a vital route on the Underground Railroad as slaves fled across the Ohio River and headed further north to freedom and safety. The 1851 advent of the railroad in Middletown led to declining use of the canal. The Great Flood of 1913 permanently damaged the canal and further limited its use. In 1929, the canal in Middletown was officially closed with a commemoration ceremony and a parade featuring a canal boat on wheels. The canal was eventually filled and paved over to create Verity Parkway. A steering committee has been formed to commemorate the bicentennial of the groundbreaking for the Miami and Erie Canal with the goals of 1, educating students and the public on the key role of the canal in Middletown's history, and 2, leveraging the history of the canal to establish Middletown as a historic art and entertainment destination. Members of the steering committee include DMI, the Middletown Historical Society, the Middletown City School District, Miami University Regionals, the Miami and Erie Canal Corridor Association, the Midpoint Library, the City of Middletown, the Middletown Community Foundation, and many local and regional canal enthusiasts. Upcoming Miami and Erie Canal bicentennial events include and will include May 8th and 9th, a bus tour field trip for all 500 of the Middletown City School District third graders to several notable sites, including the First Dig Boulder Monument, Excello Lock, Port Middletown Art Installation, and the Canal Museum. July 18th and 19th, Ohio Balloon Challenge in Smith Park, drone display and historic canal bicentennial interactive display. July 21st, official commemoration ceremony and historical reenactment at 11 a.m. by the Canal Boulder Monument, as described by Sam. July 26th, Canal Days Parade and Festival in downtown Middletown. 11 to 4 p.m., Thunderfest Historic Car Show. 5 p.m., Canal Days Parade featuring a canal boat replica on wheels. 5:30 to 10 p.m., Canal Days Festival at Swallen's Lot featuring bluegrass bands and historic displays and activities. We are excited to partner with the city and to seek outside sponsorship to make the Canal Bicentennial Parade and Festival a true showcase.
Johnson, that is time. Thank you very much.
Middletown's bright past and brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to call Ms. Dora Bronston to the podium. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please do adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times. Before we begin, please state your full name and Middletown residence. For the record, you will then have 4 minutes of uninterrupted speech. Please commence.
I am Dora Bronston, 4817 Earl Avenue. Mayor Slamka, to City Council, to Amy Skang, and City Manager, and everyone who's here. I'm here to invite everybody to a community event with a group called the Mystics, and this is called Motown and More. And many of us here know about Motown and love Motown music. And so let me tell you a little bit about that. I am the president for the Southwest Ohio Philharmonic Board, and who we are is an organization that evolved from the Middletown Symphony. And most of us know the Middletown Symphony was here for many years. The board folded. The musicians decided to continue the orchestra, arena, the arts. And so I'm going to tell you what it says here, who we are, and what the vision is. We call that group SWOP, S-W-O-P, Southwest Ohio Philharmonic Incorporated, a newly formed professional symphony orchestra. The vision is to reach and touch people with music, of course. Music is a language that speaks to all people, and we seek to reach out into communities around the area to share the joy of music. And when the Middletown Symphony was here, after 35 years of leading the symphony, Maestro Carmen de Leon expressed his interest in being the music advisor for this new orchestra. The Southwest Ohio Philharmonic name was chosen to give the orchestra a wider geographic area. So this event will be held at the Corinthian Baptist Church on Tennessee Avenue, 1920 Tennessee Avenue in Cincinnati off of the Norwood Lateral. And it will be held June 21st, this Saturday. And the reason for the month of June is because June is called Black Music Month. I know February is Black History Month. For those of you who didn't know about June, like I didn't know, that's considered Black Music Month. And so we decided to hold this in the month of June. So I know Juneteenth events are going on around the area. And I think Juneteenth is on the 17th or 19th. I think it's the 19th. And so on the 21st, which is Saturday, a day after my birthday, we're going to be celebrating Motown and More, and we would like to invite you all to come. I'll leave these flyers with Amy, and if anyone has any questions, they can call me or email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bronston. Next, I would like to call Mr. Gary McIlroy to the podium, please. And you may stand or sit according to your preference. Please adjust the microphone and speak directly into the microphone at all times before we begin.
My name's Gary McElroy,
Thank you.
4812 Taunton Drive, Middletown. I have a couple concerns. One is one of our neighbors, about 5 houses down from us, their yard looks like a junkyard, and it's deeper. Not good for property valuations. And I called about 2 weeks ago, put a complaint in. Nothing's been done. The garage, when the garage doors open, there's just a narrow pathway. It's a two-car garage. There's just a narrow pathway going through the garage. It's all the way to the ceiling. If there was ever a fire in there, I feel sorry for the firefighters because they'd be there a good couple of days trying to put it out. My second concern is, I'm from the Toledo area. I've been down here for about 10 years, and it's the striping of the streets. How often do they do it? In Toledo, they've done it about every 4 or 5 years. There's areas where you can't even see the lines, and especially when it rains. It's very hard to see where you're at. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElroy. And that concludes our public participation this evening. The next agenda item is council comments. We will begin to my left with Councilmember Lawley, followed by Councilmember Carter, and then to my right with Councilmember West, followed by Councilmember Horn, and I will speak last. Mr. Lawley?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to say a big congratulations to Chief Wright and wish him a safe and successful tenure as our fire chief. Chief Wright and I had spent many years together working in the Division of Fire, and we're together through thick and thin. And I think we've made a very good choice to continue a direction of a fire department that is second to none. And administratively and operationally, Chief Wright has all the tools to do and continue to do a great job for us. So congratulations, Brian. Second of all, the John 23rd Festival is this weekend. Myself and several other team members have been since 7 a.m. Monday morning, been setting up for the festival, and we'll continue all weekend. So it's Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's family atmosphere, and a good time will be had by all. So if you can come out and visit and join us in the fun, we encourage you to do so. The other thing, thank Lenny Robinson for coming tonight and giving an update on the ICRC and the TV Middletown, or Middletown TV. I think it's a direction we should pursue. Encouraged to hear that the ICRC, if we go that route, is willing to reduce the cost. But what I would like to do is see if we can, maybe at the staff level, get some more information about what that means, what that cost would be. Are they willing that just as in the first year? What happens the second year, third year? And then once again, my thought on that is I think, you know, it'd be a good thing to pursue, to look at how we spend the franchise fees. But once again, I'd like to see from our finance director what that would mean, because those finance fees go into the general fund budget and they're absorbed through spending on other items. So once again, I'd like to see from Sam how that would affect us, and hopefully here in the next month. I'm encouraged to see that they're going to move forward and go ahead and film the July 4th parade. I think the July 4th committee and or the parade committee that put on a wonderful Memorial Day parade, and I'm sure they're going to put on a wonderful July 4th parade. They've done a great job, but I think as partners, this will just enhance the job they do. There are people who'd love to watch the parade, but they just can't seem to get out. I mean, the concern was that, well, it may keep people from going down to the parade. I really doubt that. I think if people really want to go and partake in the parade, they're going to come down because our parade committee does put on great parades. So encouraged for that. And one other thing, thank you for all those who have come down and reiterated their support and encouragement and concerns for the downtown, especially the buildings. I do know today a couple members of our Port Authority and the Butler County Finance Authority Executive Director Joshua Smith and a developer went through 3 of the properties, the Manchester, the Sunshine Building, and the First Financial Building. Haven't really got any feedback from them, but there are 2 other tours through there with other developers. Just part of information we can glean and get to make an informed decision. And I know many of those things you requested, Gabe, in your citizens' comment will be addressed, and I look forward to meeting with you guys, as I know my colleagues here have been. So I think, yes, maybe 60 days here doesn't seem like a lot, but I think we can make great strides in making a good, informed decision about what we can do for the downtown. So that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lally. Mrs. Carter?
Good evening. I am just baffled. I'm baffled because the building, the Manchester, has been sitting vacant for 12 to 13 years. And I think at this point, I can't imagine us doing anything with it, really. I remember at one time I said, let's make it a citizen building. Have the homeless on one floor, county services on the second floor, and recreation on the third floor. I think that went unheard. But I wasn't on the committee at that time. I wasn't on the council at that time. So I think at this time, we would spend more money trying to regroup the Manchester. That's how I feel. I'm sure others feel different, but we have many things in our city that we need to work on, that we need to invest money into, other than trying to restore this building. We have this pile of muck sitting on Verity Parkway, and it affects everyone in that area. And I'm asking, why not move it? Move it somewhere. Move it to an empty field. Move it somewhere where citizens aren't breathing the dust. We could use, I think they said, a couple of dollars, $3,000 to move it, yet we are trying to get a video screen and video for $60,000 or less. We need to decide where and who. What's important to us? What's important? Are the citizens important? What's important? We have the majority of the people who make decisions here, they don't even live here. So they don't have to deal with what's going on here, because when they leave, they go home and they're living in nice areas. We need to think about where we're spending our money. We need to think about our citizens. We don't have to compare to Hamilton. Why? We have people here that knows how to construct sound buildings. We need to take care of our homeless. There's a lot of things that we need to do. We need to do. And we're not doing it. Yes, sir, Gabe, I do. I want the building gone. I do. I think that we could put some other buildings there. I think that it would be efficient. We can have homeless people downtown. It's okay. They'll have some place to go. I went to a homeless shelter that was in a church, and we didn't offer funding to that church, so that it shut down. And I spent the day in this building, and people came and they could lay down, they could eat, they could take showers, and it was helpful. They weren't downtown, but they were in a building and they were being taken care of. Homeless people have children, a lot of them. So we need to think about our community. We need to think about our people here. We're not keeping up with our citizens, the people who make this city. So we need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carter. Mr. West.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Couple just quick things. Congratulations to Chief Wright. He's pretty fortunate to step into that role now with new fire stations. I get to hear Paul Lawley complain a lot of times that he had the old buildings, but no, congratulations to the new chief. A couple things. Gabe, thank you and everyone for showing up again tonight. Gabe and I had a good conversation. I think it was on Friday. The days are starting to blend, but and I'm going to meet with your groups coming up next month. So a couple, the idea is when, I've lived in this town for many years, and when I ran for council, I'm like, hey, there's some things that I feel like need to be brought to light. We need to make decisions on things. We need to be proactive with increasing public safety officers, proactive with saying, hey, our parks have been neglected for decades, right? We need to act on that. And it doesn't matter what corner of town, right? There's a lot of investments that can be made, whether it's through the homeowner repair program. There's just a lot of things in this city. I always tell people this city is almost like 6 or 7 cities in one, because each neighborhood is vastly different than the next neighborhood, which is good. It's bad, but a lot of people that don't know Middletown, that's what I tell them. I'm like, it's very, you can spend $20,000 on a house or up to $1 million on a house here in this city. It's very unique. When it comes to downtown, my frustration for many years, we had a lot of people sitting in these chairs up here who would just steer 100% clear. I don't care if they're watching. They would steer 100% clear. I understood why they did, because anytime they would dabble in it, they could potentially be a business owner here in town, a property owner, and they get backlash, and it would affect their business, right? That doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter to me. I don't own anything but my house in this town. It doesn't affect my job, doesn't affect the businesses I've started, doesn't affect it. But part of the reason that we threw out a deadline on this, or I should say a goal to make a decision, was for this exact thing to happen. For this exact thing to happen. How many years are we just going to sit around and let things continue to decay? This right here, how many meetings have we had in the last year and a half where there's 1 or 2 people in here? So in the back of my mind, you slide things up in a priority. And the priority in this town, what gets people's attention is we say, hey, you know what? We're going to make a decision on that. We're going to make a decision on it in 2, 3, 4 months. And you make it very real. And people will say, hey, hold on a second. Let's work together. Like Gabe, like we discussed on the phone. Part of this, I wanted to start discussing this last year, but we didn't have all the pieces together yet. We didn't have Butler County Finance Authority on board. They're going to be a great partner. Middletown Port Authority, great partner. But it brings everything to light to say, hey, as a community, we need to take this seriously. We need to take downtown seriously. We need to take every corner of this city seriously. It doesn't matter if it's a council-related item or any of the boards that we sit on. You know, we're getting ready to invest almost $600,000 in a splash pad for Douglas Park. And I urged the park board and I urged several members of council to say, hey, look, I don't live in that neighborhood, but I'm sick and tired of seeing that splash pad not work on 93-degree days. It's unacceptable. We can't do that anymore. Park board had some money set aside by the previous council. It was ARPA money. And I said, hey, I know we want to redo all these parks. In a perfect world, we can. But guess what? Kids in that neighborhood, they don't have pools. They don't have swimming pools. Their neighbors don't have swimming pools, right? And last summer, it was Councilman Lawley's idea to get sprinklers out there in the park when we were in that real bad stretch. And I'm like, that's good for this summer, but we have to invest everywhere in this city. Now, my personal take on the Manchester specifically, like I said last meeting, I was really disappointed when the last organization walked away. I felt like their track record, their resume, the projects that they've completed all over were very impressive, very, very impressive. They're well-versed in tax law. They're well-versed in this region. And that really kind of hit us in the gut. Like, wow, really? I don't know what the missing pieces were for them to feel uncomfortable. But like I stated last time, one of their renderings, the rendering that, in my opinion, they were probably favoring, did have the Manchester and Sunshine buildings torn down. Now, brings us to today. So when it comes to the Manchester specifically, because that's probably the building that everybody first brings up whenever we discuss downtown. To me, let's get another RFQ out there. Now that we have Joshua Smith and Butler County Finance Authority on board, let's get some developers walking through it. Let's see if we can create a buzz about it within the developer community. And let's just say, for example, the RFQ goes out. We get a couple folks responding to it, and we review those. We review their proposals, or I should say, qualifications. Sure, we can delay a decision on that. My personal take on the bank tower is, the building hasn't been vacant very long. Yeah, it needs, I think I've heard $600,000-700,000, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, for a roof. I don't think that's unfeasible for it. Plus, if you tear that building down on that corner, it's going to look goofy and it's not really designed. Anyway, I won't get into that. But for the Manchester specifically, there has to be a plan for it. And we have to verify that. I thought we had one with the previous council, but that Capital Group walked away. When it comes to vacant property legislation, that's stuff that we've discussed quite a bit. It was passed many years ago, like Ms. Glazer said, like it really hasn't been enforced. We've took a look at some of the statistics with certain owners who own a lot. We know there's, pretty much a couple folks that own the majority of downtown. And so, I'd be willing to explore that for sure, because I think, and I've said this many times, that there are people who buy these buildings intentionally to depreciate them on their tax portfolio. And they do live out of town. And when I say out of town, not out of state. They live down the road. So it doesn't affect them. So I do agree with the comments on where there's a lot of folks that own buildings here in town. They don't live here in town, and so it's out of sight, out of mind. And if they get a tax benefit out of it, I think that's where we have to step in and say this is no longer acceptable. It goes twofold, because with the empty buildings that could be leased out, could be rented out, it's very difficult to bring developers downtown and want them to take, whether it's a historic building or any piece of property, take it seriously when they look around and it's just cobwebs. We're not doing the current business owners any favor by doing that. So that's something I'm willing to explore. I know there are a couple offenders that are egregious. I can't remember what the specific threshold was on the piece of legislation that they passed in 2019. But I'll revisit that, and please feel free to reach out. Mike, I'd like to have a discussion with you as well on that. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. West. Mr. Horn.
Oh, good evening. I always love it when part of this job is when they do the promotions or the pinning ceremonies. I think it's awesome that we see that folks who are willing to risk their lives for us to go into a situation and pull someone out of a burning building, or to save someone's life, or to go into a dangerous situation while everyone else is running away, they're charging forward. And I applaud those folks who are first responders. And it's always, that's one part of the job that I do enjoy, is watching our young folks go through their training, go through their goals, and then reach the highest level. And I think that's truly amazing. Again, I always like seeing a full gallery. It's always nice. We have to continue this on every little topic, because the more you get involved, the more this council and future councils and everyone involved will take you more serious. I made a comment. I rarely respond to Facebook, and what I usually do, and I'll say it, I box you in so there's no back and forth. I'll make my comment, then I'll say, I'll see you at the next meeting. We'll have a conversation about that, or whatever. So that's why I don't do the back and forth. But I had to really think about my comment about the downtown. I think I used the right word instead of the words I really wanted to use. But I wanted to be kind. I used the phrase, for 50 years, I have watched the downtown area evolve. And I like that. I like that I wrote that, because it's like, yep, that's what I've done. I've watched it evolve. And even this little coin that I have here, there's a phrase in Latin here, and it says, I was where you were, and you will be where I am. Meaning, at one time I was 25 years old and had hair. Yes, I'm still not over it. And someday hopefully I'll make it to 70 or even 80. And then those folks who were in their 20s, they're my age. And you will see things that you need to get involved with our city. And I'm looking very forward to our tour, okay? Because I'm going to walk you through Middletown. And I'm going to let you know everything that's going on. And I'm not a historian. I've just been here long enough to know and seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Middletown's, and this is just my opinion through reading and my discovery, because I'm not coming to a meeting in August with not being prepared for either way. But Middletown's greatest century was the last century. And back toward the beginning of the last century, George M. Verity was going between Middletown and Zanesville. And he met with the Industrial Commission and some bankers in the U.S. Hotel and discussed about bringing a mill here. And if you read that book about Middletown and the steel mill, it just shows how deeply entrenched Armco was, and they had Armco stores, grocery stores for their employees. They had the third floor of the Sorg for meetings, for their conferences and such. They were deeply entrenched. There was Armco Park. They had a baseball team. You name it, they had it. And then the end of the 70s and the early 80s hit, and I was here for that. And ladies and gentlemen, we were that close. And fortunately, Armco righted itself, partnered with Kawasaki, and they became Armco Kawasaki. But after World War I, when the Manchester was built, Middletown was on the rise. That's why they built the Manchester, because the U.S. Hotel was just the U.S. Hotel, and that was built before the Civil War. So yes, we have a good history, but we have to always remember we have to continue to make the place better. However we can do that. And I think we've had some stumblings, which I've mentioned before, on things that we have to have. The most unsexiest thing that you have to have in a downtown area, if you have all these businesses, is parking. If people can't park here, they can't come here, or they're going to get upset. So it's just one little thing that just sounds like it's, why are you talking about parking lots? We want buildings. Yes, we want buildings that are filled with businesses, with people, but they've got to be able to park someplace to go to these businesses. I do appreciate what everyone is saying, and I just have to continue to ask you, continue to do your due diligence, continue to reach out to people to see what the business plan is. Because our area, the downtown area, it has great potential and possibility. But we also have other things being built in other areas. And at times people like the shiny object versus the historical object. I'll say it nicely. So keep that in mind. Also, at our next meeting, and I would like to request that our historical and DMI are here because we're going to have the SORG do a presentation because they do need some assistance, and they're going to give us a presentation and have a conversation with City Council. So it would be good that your group is here in support along with DMI because those two groups, and what I'm being also told is that the SORG and the U.S. Hotel is in the South Middletown Historic District. But it is, did look that up actually, they are nationally registered as a historical building. They have a big plaque when the Finkelmans bought them. But again, please just keep coming. You know, it's fun to be here with my group here, but I like to see more citizens and be speaking your mind of your concerns of your city. Lastly, I just want to mention, and this is the importance of whether we go with the historical or new. What keeps the lights on here is payroll tax, and I can be wrong, but I'm going to go with what I think I know. Payroll tax, hotel tax, sales tax, and a little bit of your property tax. The other corporation, known as the Middletown School System, takes the majority of your property tax, and now you need that to fund theirs. So when someone comes up and says, my property tax pays your salary, it's like, yeah, 10%, and I'll say it, I make $350 a month after taxes, okay? So I'm doing this for the love of doing this and to do my civic duty. That's why I'm doing this, and I enjoy doing this. So that's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. I have about 5 minutes of comments telling people what's coming up and things like that. But before, I wanted to just address some of the things that we were asked to address tonight by Mr. Shainline, talking about how I personally feel about the August 2nd meeting and determining the outcome of the buildings themselves. I love Middletown. I love our historic architecture. I am very excited about what's going on with the Butler County Finance Authority, with our Middletown Port Authority, the tours that Mr. Lawley spoke of today, and the developers working with Joshua Smith. So I'm excited about these meetings. Like Mr. West was saying, this has really lit a fire. Plus, yes, as you mentioned, this council is pretty action-oriented. So when we see something, if it's a good idea, I think that's the kind of thing that we can get behind. So I am very excited to see what could possibly be done with our historic buildings. I do think that they are an important economic driver for any city, but especially Middletown, where our history is so rich and the people here love it so much, and the people in the area. I see how, I talk to people, I visit places, and I see what historic centers can do for cities and for the residents, for businesses. So I'm very interested in that conversation that's happening. My mind is not made up, but I am very excited. So I hope that answers your question. Next, I wanted to, if Ms. Gibson is still here, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out. I really appreciated your email. It was very well written. She wrote about the homelessness situation and some things that are going on in downtown. And also, one thing I very much appreciated was not only her compassion, but she offered so many solutions. And that's the kind of dialogue that I really appreciate. It's like, what could be possible? It might not end up looking exactly like whatever any of us thought, but at least we're moving forward and coming together as a community. So I very much appreciate that. Thank you. And then I just wanted to say, Mr. Lally had mentioned the festival. It used to be called the Fenwick Festival. I just call it the Falcon Festival because I can't just call it the festival. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to that as well. It's looking beautiful. So next, I would like to thank our former chief, Tom Snively, for all his years of selfless service to the city of Middletown, and to congratulate our new fire chief, Brian Wright. I am excited to work with him and for what the future holds. At this time, I did want to also mention, in response to Ms. Gaston, we did have a nice conversation. I do have some conversation more that I want to have with our city manager and some questions that I have personally as well. So it's not over. We're still discussing, and it's ongoing. Next, did you know, as you heard today, that Middletown has a grand history as being part of the Underground Railroad? You are now able to learn about Middletown and the Underground Railroad from the exhibit entitled Underground. Visit the PAC, our Pendleton Art Center, located at 1105 Central Avenue in downtown Middletown, Tuesdays through Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the lower level to view this exhibit, enjoy, increase your knowledge, and share with others. CBI, our Community Building Institute, is partnering with the nonprofit Willing Workers Community Outreach Ministry for an educational session tomorrow, Wednesday, June 18th. They will be hosting a film about the history of Juneteenth. This free live screening is from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Sunny Hill Community Center in the community room. For more information, please call CBI at 513-425-7866. As was mentioned earlier, Middletown's annual Pride celebration is set for this Friday, June 20th, from 5 to 9 at Governor Square in downtown Middletown. There will be vendors, food, fun stations, and of course the silent disco. For more information, please visit the calendar at downtownmiddletown.org. Also this Friday, June 20th, from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., join P3 for a spine-chilling ghost hunt at the Windermere at 2 South Main Street, also known as the Paranormal Center in historic Middletown. Explore the haunted Windermere, once a bank, and uncover the mysteries of its eerie past. For tickets and more information, please visit thewindermere.com. The monthly program Walk with a Doc is now rotating locations within our community. This Saturday, June 21st, the walk will be held at Woodside Cemetery and Arboretum, located at 1401 Woodside Boulevard at 9 a.m. Please meet in the parking lot by the community room, which is in the main building when you first drive in. There will also be a sign. This month's topic on Alzheimer's and brain health will be presented by Dr. Kara Siani with UC Health. Also this Saturday, June 21st, from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Windermere downtown is Power Surge, the ultimate night out for women who grew up owning the dance floor. Whether you're ready to relive your glory days or just need a night to let loose, this is your moment to shine. No guys allowed. For more information, please visit thewindermere.com. This summer, join the Middletown Open Air Market, formerly known as the Middletown Farmers Market, across from Gravel Road Brewing at 916 First Avenue downtown, 2 Sundays every month, June through September. The second date this month is this Sunday, June 22nd. Hours are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It is time to purchase your tickets for Middletown Rocks, the CBI, or the Community Building Institute, annual fundraiser. Come out next Thursday, June 26th, for the greatest night in Middletown and watch 7 Middletown celebrities sing in front of a live band, all to raise money for a great cause, our Middletown kids. And this year, the CBI kiddos will be performing as well. Also this year, our own health commissioner, Ms. Jackie Phillips-Carter, and our communication manager, Clayton Castle, join the group with a duet. For the full list of performers to purchase tickets or to donate, please visit cbimiddletown.org. Are you interested in spookiness, beautiful architecture, and history? Then the South Main Haunted Tour is for you. Join ghost enthusiasts from around the region next Saturday, June 28th, as they delve into the rich tapestry of the city's past, exploring 28 iconic homes that have witnessed the rise and fall of generations, some rumored to be haunted, while all steeped in the captivating history of Middletown's most influential figures. From pioneering entrepreneurs to celebrated artists, each residence holds secrets waiting to be unearthed. For more information and to purchase tickets, please visit downtownmiddletown.org. Please save the date for the City of Middletown's Independence Day Festival, taking place on Thursday, July 3rd in Smith Park from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. We hope you can attend to join in the celebration of our nation's independence. As a reminder, the City of Middletown accepts applications for our boards and commissions throughout the year, so if there is something that you have an interest in and you wish to give back to your city in this way, please do submit your application. To learn more, please visit the city's website at cityofmiddletown.org. Lastly, and as always, there are many ways to get involved with your community and give back. Join a board or committee. Run for office, apply for a job with the city, volunteer at the hospital, pick up trash in your neighborhood or park, plant a garden in your yard, smile at a neighbor. Find joy and satisfaction for a job well done, whatever work you do, or just have a positive and giving attitude. Find something that you can do regularly and give back. We are all connected and we are all in this together. The care of our city is an adventure in which we all get to share. That is all for me tonight. This concludes council comments. The next item on the agenda is City Manager reports. City Manager Ms. Ashley Combs, you have the floor.
Good evening. I first wanted to start by saying congratulations to Chief Wright. I know he will do an outstanding job serving our community and leading the Middletown Fire Department. So first, you see underneath City Manager's reports, Tyler Roberts with the YMCA is not going to be with us tonight. He is very ill, but he will be present at the July 1st meeting. So I would like to start with Lisha Moreland, our Community and Economic Development Director. She's going to give an update on projects.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Appreciate you being here and giving us the opportunity for an update from the Community and Economic Development Department. I wanted to start with just a slide with our department. If you remember, we talked back in January, we have a consolidated department. And this is about 6 divisions, about 25-ish people, and it covers everything from planning and zoning, code enforcement, building inspection, community, and economic development. And we, of course, the airport and the event center of Middletown. So when we look at our development efforts across the city, having one cohesive department makes for a much smoother process, as well as those developers working with us. So now we have a little bit more, right hand knows what the left hand is doing. So across the bottom, we have some colored chevrons. Those actually come from our comprehensive plan. So as I go through these 80 slides tonight, just kidding, it's not 80, it's 77. So as I go through those tonight, you'll see which parts of those development projects are fulfilling our comprehensive plan. Just joshing with you guys, it's not 77. All right, let's see if I can get this thing to go forward. Why is it not going forward? Okay, cool, that works. Thanks, Matt. Matt, if you'll go ahead and go down through the text there. There we go. Okay. So as we look at the town mall redevelopment, as you know, we put the RFQ out in March, and we did award to a developer. We are currently working through the letter of engagement and the development agreement draft. So once we get through that, they can start their due diligence process. And then as well, as a bonus, we were awarded a $2.5 million grant from the Department of Development. That award and notification of the award just came out, a week or 2 ago. So we're pretty excited about that, and that's in conjunction with the Warren County Port Authority, and obviously that's going to be put to good use. So right now, the developer has a vision for a commercial mixed-use residential retail development project. So we're curious to hear how this is going to go and how their due diligence period works out for them. So we're excited to get this project underway for sure. All right, you have to do it, Matt, because mine's not working. Perfect. All right, go down through our text. Yeah. All right, Renaissance Point, obviously, our great looking picture there of us doing a groundbreaking. So we're finalizing the first phase of the infrastructure. I know Scott's group with Public Works is getting towards the end of that. So that should be wrapped up about the end of summer, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Scott? End of August? Okay. Yeah, fall? Okay, fall-ish. So that's getting wrapped up and it's going smoothly. I don't think there's been any change orders. So knock on wood, that continues. As well, we were awarded a $1.8 million public infrastructure funding, which is the Ohio 629 program through the Ohio Department of Development. Sheets and Gateway Lofts final development plans have been approved by the Planning Commission, and of course the Sheets permits currently are being reviewed, and the rest of the acreage is being replatted. That was approved in May, and the reason for that replatting is for marketing purposes. So, you know, the Sheets was parceled off, the Gateway Lofts was parceled off so that we could continue with development for that, and now we can go ahead and get the rest of the parcels marketed. All right. Oh, now it's working. Is it working, or are you doing it at the same time? Oh, sweet. Okay. All right, downtown refresh. We had a wonderful meeting with Ms. Glazer Jones, thank you. And to her point, we are looking at the vacant property legislation. Staff has reviewed that, and there is some language in there that needs to be changed. So we will be working with legal to make those changes and bring that to you for approval. The prohibitive part of the language right now is the enforcement. So obviously that needs to be changed so we can move forward with this. That is a priority for our group. As well as rental property registration. So we will be putting that into the mix as we get the final language for the vacant property legislation approved. We're currently obviously reshopping the project and working with developers. The Community and Economic Development Department today did do those tours. We took Joshua Smith and BCFA and the developers that he knew to the buildings. There was some interest in one of the buildings, but it is not a city-owned building. I think they had their eyes open when they went into some of those other buildings. So I'm, along with you, Mr. Lawley, I'm looking forward to getting feedback from the group on that. We did have a public survey that we conducted, and we collected the information from that, as well as the 2 sessions of the town hall meetings that we had in March. We did put all of that data together, and we asked for folks who are interested to join up for the community downtown refresh working group. So we did have our first meeting on June 12th, and I think that was a great meeting. I think people needed to get through some of the initial sort of what are we doing here and some concerns that they had, but then I think everything sort of shook out that we realized we were there as a working group. And the intention is to get a draft RFQ put together so that we can get this released. Our next working group meeting is on June 26th, and we will, the compilation of the feedback from the working group and what came out of that, as well as the data from the public gatherings and survey, will then go into the template for a draft RFQ for the group to work with on the 26th. And then we're looking to target the release of that RFQ on July 2nd. So I think we have a July 1st council meeting and then put that on July 2nd. All right, and then of course, the walkthrough assessments were completed in May. We did have 3 different entities do those walkthrough assessments, whether it was from an environmental concern, a structural concern, and what are the assessments from a marketing perspective, from a redevelopment. And then as we're having those site visits from the developers, we're going to gather their feedback and input and bring that to council for review and discussion. The East End project. So we've got a lot going on the East End. One thing that I do want to sort of highlight for our East End opportunity is, while we have the Renaissance Point and the Town Mall projects going on, the rest of the area for the East End is ripe for development opportunities for industrial sectors that have not been here before. So it does add to our manufacturing footprint. However, we're looking for clean manufacturing. So I want you to think biohealth, biopharma, bioscience, R&D labs. There is some room and some zoning areas for Class A office space. But that's what we're targeting, and we actually had a conversation with Butler Tech last week about that very thing, and we're going to be meeting with Miami University about it as well. So we're finishing up the $1 million sewer main extension along Union. We did end up getting accepted into the 2025 Duke Site Readiness Program. We're going to be doing some mock RFIs with them later this summer, and once we get through all of that with them, we are in the running for a $10,000 grant, no match to that, that we can use for further development and assessments on that. And that is targeting the Union Run Farms. It's approximately 90 acres. We do have, once we start to put together some of the assessments and the site certifications, we have that ability to pursue some shovel-ready greenfield opportunities through Jobs Ohio. It is not ripe for that yet, and so that's part of the reason we went for the Duke Site Readiness Program. We do have additional greenfields in that area. The Mad River Investments, it's approximately 200 acres. The LATS area. Anybody here, I'm just curious, anybody here know what LATS stands for? Besides you, that's not fair. Anybody else? It stands for, ready, this is novel, land across the street. I know, novel, right? That way we don't forget it. So it's approximately 80 acres, and then North Point is approximately 20 acres. So we have a lot of opportunity there to bring in these new sectors. And so that's the conversations that we are having with Jobs Ohio and Ready Cincinnati. All right, the Community Grocer Health Clinic. So this has been sort of the labor of love, but it's also been wonderful to hear the level of interest in this project. Staff has been working diligently on the cap stack for this, and we are targeting, fingers crossed, a groundbreaking in Q2 of 2026. So far, we have been engaging the grocer as well as the healthcare tenants from a formal perspective. And then we're looking at the zoning, what do we need to do, if anything, to tweak that to make sure that it is highest and best use and appropriate for the area. And next week we have sort of one of the final visits for a potential grocer tenant coming next week to do the site visit. With that comes some of the funding. So right now we already have some CDBG HUD funding allocated for that. I have approximately $161,000 there because we're still waiting to hear what that final amount will be. They have not decided that yet. Received the Pat Landy grant for $5,000, so we'll start the assessments with that. And then we have a funding goal for the entire project of $10 million. So right now, putting together the different cap stack, there are different funding sources. We've identified about $9.4 million. Now that's everything from grants, federal, state, local, as well as corporate sponsorships, tenant match, and then council appropriating some money for that as well. And then the $200,000 site acquisition cost that we spent for that can be used as a match for some of those grants. So that qualifies. All right, some of the other projects these don't really warrant their own slides, but I do think that they are, while they may or may not be considered major, they are worth mentioning because, again, staff is spending time on multiple development efforts. So we are currently working on a regional aviation strategic plan. Butler County Finance Authority has pulled together the 3 regional general aviation airports, us, Oxford, and Butler County. And we did have a meeting with them a couple weeks ago to start talking about what does that strategic aviation plan look like for the region. And especially as we're starting to look at more and more advanced air mobility, not just in the region, but in the state. So kind of working together to make sure that that happens. It doesn't do us any good to build a vertical charging pad if the other ones aren't. So there's development opportunities to bring, again, more jobs, more employers, more production in the AAM space. And so one of the things that we're looking at, which I'll talk about here in a second, is as we look at our code and zoning re-strategy, is how do we start identifying an airport district and expanding the developable acreage for aviation-related activity. I just mentioned the Middletown Development Code update. We are working on that, and we are targeting the July 1st council agenda to bring that to you for consideration. And the Historic Preservation Plan, we're getting ready to do the final review with the Historic Commission here in a few days, June 19th. The I-75 Green Tree Road interchange, this is a huge, huge project, this huge initiative. We are collaborating with multiple municipalities around us. We had I don't want to say our first meeting because we did meet about a year ago, but it's sort of gotten revamped and, with what I'll say, staff personnel changes, not just here, but around our municipalities that are affected by this. This has a renewed interest, and the Warren County engineer is leading a lot of those efforts to help guide that project, mainly because they have done some other studies on some highway projects that has some supporting documentation to help support this effort. EI Ceramics, as you know, we did a groundbreaking, I can't talk tonight, groundbreaking in the freezing cold. So thank goodness they brought dirt in because I don't think we could have dug it. But right now they are working on some logistics for their equipment that they have ordered for the new facility. They're needing to discuss from a warehousing storage standpoint, where do we put that? And right now that is being held offshore until they find a place to get it stored here when they bring it to the US. and as well, the covenant not to sue, which you have to wait on from the EPA. They are not doing, they're not starting the build out of the inside until they have that CNS. And mainly the reason is because EPA can always come back and say, well, we want one more sample. So you don't want to start your build out if they can come back and say, we want one more sample, because then you might have to move a wall or whatever you built. So once they get that, then they'll start the build out process. And of course, we can't rush EPA. So there's that. Paperboard is going full strong. We're nearing the end of that. We did have to, so we received a grant from ODOD about a year-ish ago, and they did award money to us. They notified us, but they did not release the money, and that was happening with all the projects, not just ours. And so they said, you can ask for an extension, but we, and I say we as a collective, we, like those of us around us that also got the same grant, we were waiting to see if they were going to do a blanket extension because they had not released the monies. So unfortunately, they didn't, sort of in parallel effort, because they didn't release the monies until later, they weren't just automatically extending the usage of it. So we now are at the point where we have submitted that extension for the usage of that. And so we're waiting, through the Butler County Land Bank, we're waiting to hear from ODOD on that extension. And we did ask to be able to use that by July of 2026. So we did ask for almost a year extension. We, as well, we're to receive from Burgess and Nyepel, the soil grading and remediation specs that will then go out for bid. And they're basically working on the final steps to receive the CNS, the covenant not to sue, from the EPA on that project as well. And then lastly is our infill housing. So as you know, lots of infill lots. Staff has identified 2 different types of residential programs, which we've had local developers express an interest in, so that's fantastic. And that was introduced at our real estate forum a month ago, 2 months ago. So the Neighborhood Revitalization Program, you might see it, the acronym for that, NRP. That is, we're finalizing the RFQ draft for that, so we'll bring that for review. And then we're targeting to release that RFQ in July of 2025. So this is intended to take some of our infill lots, consolidate slivers of lots that are just kind of out there that you can't do anything with, but consolidate those into more marketable lots. And so it brings a more marketable value for those. As well, we have our employer-led housing initiative. So this is, if you remember, this is what I mentioned is the very thing that we can use, that I can use as business retention and attraction, which housing is a workforce challenge everywhere, not just here, across the United States, is the very thing that our employers can use as an employee retention and attraction tool. So we have about 15, well, no, we do have 15 employers in the area that have said, yes, I somehow want to be a part of that. I want to be on the list. And so we are getting ready to bring our financial partner back into the conversation to say, based on these employers, how do you set up a program that is nuanced for this employer and their workforce, this employer and their workforce, et cetera, because they're all just a little bit different in how they want to do that. But again, that adds to the diversification of our housing portfolio, and that actually will fulfill our missing middle housing that we have. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about septic, so we'll go back. That's not mine. That's what I got. We have a bunch of other things that we're working on, but that's kind of your major highlight stuff. Never a dull moment in the Community and Economic Development Department, I can tell you that. If you get bored, it's your own fault. But I would invite you anytime to come to our team meetings. They are now happening on Wednesday afternoons. And we have a monthly lunch and learn. So we are working to, each division is talking to the rest of the department about sort of what they do. And that way the entire group can see what piece of the puzzle they bring to the entire picture. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Ms. Moreland.
Yep.
Does council have any questions or comments for Ms. Moreland? Yes, Ms. Carter.
Question.
Yep.
The grocer and health facility, where will that be located?
That's going to be over there on the Vail site, but it's the part that's closest to like Hattie Cornered across from Paperboard, across from U-Haul, Family Dollar, that portion of Vail, not the Knights of Columbus side.
Okay, so do you have a health facility in mind?
We do. We've talked to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not at liberty to disclose that right now because they don't want it said in public.
Oh, okay.
But they are local, and they're very excited about it.
Oh, okay. So do we have, well, is there a facility for them right now?
Yes.
In Middletown?
They have 2 facilities in Middletown.
Okay.
And they are expanding their services.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a comment. So one thing I want to stress is something that's very important to me in this, and it's something that I think our economic development department needs to make a priority. You need to bring jobs to Middletown. That is the only thing that is going to solve any of this, and that's the only thing that's going to be able to allow us to do a lot of the stuff I've seen up there. Look, the reason our Manchester building and our Sunshine buildings are in the shape they're in is because we didn't have the money to spend on them. The reason we can't do a lot of the enforcement of the vacant is because those owners, they lawyered up. And for us to try to recover $300 and some thousand, it was costing us $1 million in legal fees. So the only way we're going to have the money to do a lot of things in Middletown is to bring jobs. And to me, that should be the focus of economic development. The rest of this will come. And I think that's extremely important. Councilman Horn even alluded to it earlier. If we want to increase our public safety, we've got to add jobs. If we want to have more police officers, we've got to add jobs. Our April finance report had us bringing in like $274,000 above projections in our income tax. Great. But our May report was down to $134,000 of the projected. I don't want to see that going. So my point in this is I think economic development needs to focus more also on having goals that by December 31st of 2026, we're going to create 1,000 more $50,000 a year jobs. Because creating 1,000 more $50,000 a year jobs bring us what, in nearly, what is it, $1 million in income tax? That's how we're going to fix a lot of the things in Middletown. And I just want to see a lot of these things, great, awesome. We've got to focus on that. We've got to focus on bringing jobs to Middletown. And I just, my suggestion to you is I hope we do that. I hope we focus on bringing jobs to Middletown.
I'll comment. Yes, that's what I was talking about. And to help you on this, our history, we used to have in Middletown, which we still have, we have cliffs. But before, on top of that, and we still have sword plant paper, but we also had crystal tissue, Square D used to be here, Black Clawson used to be here. And what's nice about that is we still have the buildings. Not we personally, but the buildings are still here. So to echo what Mr. Lawley was saying, and you've been doing that with using the old research building. A lot of the buildings they did tore down, like the old Geo building, the old Bellefonte building, and then obviously the paperboard because it burned down. But that gives you, as you call it, shovel ready for that area, because as we've done with the EPA test, doing our due diligence and making sure that we have the reports for any citizens who's concerned about that lot where the Middletown paperboard was will never be residential, but it can be used to build a place for jobs to be. And as I was saying, and that's what I was told when we were going through interview process of these positions that we hold, that what really keeps the lights on here is payroll tax and businesses. So yes, I do like the innovation, and that's one word I like to use a lot, is because we actually had some businesses that are coming in Middletown, their innovation. But the innovation of, hey, if we could provide your worker a home, then, and they're only 15 minutes from work versus a half an hour when bad weather happens. And I'm sorry you didn't invent this. Last century, and probably only me and Paul know this, and some of the older folks, of the Armco homes. And you can tell them they're made of steel. Literally, then even inside they're made of steel. So they actually built homes for the workers because they had to do that because they were all coming from Kentucky. That's where my great-grandparents came from to work in the city. So yes, just to echo that again, that and you're doing that, but just keep that in mind that we need a lot of things, but the bringing of businesses and working with the Cincinnati-Dayton areas and all the other areas, because as I have said, from 675 to 275, it's going to get developed. Now, whether we want to keep up with everybody else, being a city or a township, or let them just blow our doors off, it's entirely up to us. We have to recognize, too, though, that at times, brick and mortar is not the businesses that people use. A lot of people work from their homes. A lot of people get gathering areas, but again, we can utilize that. But we do have, what's nice is we haven't torn down a lot of the ones that have the structures that still have good bones. And you know that inventory, and you're working on that inventory. And we just also keep in communication with our current business partners. As you have done. So just to echo that, that we need to continue to do that. I do have a question, and I'm sure it's been put on the wayside just because of what's been going on. So the EV charger grant, has that just been shelved for now?
No. Scott, you have sorry. No, and actually we were talking with Donovan Energy about another potential grant that's...
Because that was OKI, not really federal. So
right.
So
That's still moving forward.
Okay, I didn't know because a lot of the grants they're looking at.
Donovan's still working on that.
But that's not really an NGO. That's really kind of a
I think
thing.
we're probably looking at early next year. For
Okay,
fall,
I didn't know because I knew it was OKI, but being Ohio,
yeah, it was
Kentucky,
not
it's not federal money. So, but no, I just appreciate what you've been doing with this, and just keep on doing the economic directing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council?
I have one more.
Ms. Carter.
Wawa. From Hanover to Girard, it's a lot of land. Mm-hmm. If we could put a Wawa there, at one point we had 2 service stations from Hanover to Girard. And it wouldn't have to worry about getting rid of the housing or setting up a mall, coming back and tearing it down. But I think, why not? Mm-hmm. Why not put Wawa in that space? Yeah. That's a lot of land.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of locations throughout the city that staff has been talking through about potential locations for something just like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was just my question.
Yep.
All right, any other comments or questions? I did have just one question, but I also just wanted to say thank you so much for putting this together. This is it's looking great, and especially appreciated the East End conversation as well. I can see that you really are doing, the department's doing a lot to bring about those new jobs and to bring about the things that people with the new jobs want. So I really appreciate that. And I did have one question. When you mentioned the covenant not to sue for EI Ceramics, do you know when that is expected?
No,
Not at all.
EPA never gives you any. It'd be great, but no, they don't. I hope it's tomorrow. It could be 2 months or 6 months. So yeah.
Okay.
And we're still waiting on it for paperboard too. So.
All right. Well, that was all I had. Thank you so much.
Thanks. That's it.
That's all. Thank you. And Ms. Combs, would you mind if we took a break here? I would love to take about a 10-minute break. We come back at 7:33. Thank you so much. We'll wait for Mrs. Carter. Thank you very much. Ms. Combs, we'll proceed with city manager reports.
Yes, so the next presentation is the Amanda Septic Task Force. So I'm going to invite down Deanna Shores with Middletown Connect.
I'm going to make this super exciting because who wants to talk septic at this point, right? Okay, so I am excited to have, I think, almost the whole crew of the task force in. So if you just want to raise your hand here, if you've been a part of the task force. So we've been working together with the community. And what we wanted to do today is just tell you a little bit where we are, because we landed on really trying to help educate families who and landowners who are on septic, and realize that this is a discussion that is a little overdue. And also together we created some steps for people to take if they don't even quite understand where they are in that process. So quickly, this was created in response to the health department's concerns around aging and deteriorating septic. Alongside that, we had community members with some concerns as well. The city manager's office and the health department began to work together, and then to discuss some of these issues, such as the size of existing lots, dry wells, how repair, replacement. Now here, if you're a note taker, this is a little, I need to tweak this a little bit. The systems, that 1968 is the youngest one that we were able to date back to. The oldest system, on average, I believe we are at about 78 years old. The average shelf life of even the best system I looked up is 40 years old. So we, as you can imagine, in our area, many may be nearing failure. So we formed a group of concerned citizens, and of course city leadership, the health department, city manager's office, and a member of council, and put some urgency around the fact that we kind of needed to know more. Community ambassadors from Middletown Connect were engaged early on, who lived in the community and were able to provide some excuse me, historic background and some current information, because they live in some of the areas that are impacted. So all of this was aimed to understand current conditions and, of course, really prepare people. Hey, if the health department has to knock on your door, what do? You may be a renter. You may not even know that you're on septic. And am I on my own, Vanna? Let's see if I can do this. Uh-oh, there we go. So here, quickly, we'll go over some of the key objectives of the group. Was first, community education. We determined that we needed to do some more research and understand how we could share information with those impacted. Renters often are even unaware that they are on septic, or what that means, versus maybe being tapped into your local utilities. Ongoing outreach, we feel, will ensure that people will have a deeper understanding of what their current situation is, the risk, and their options. We did consider, we went over some discussion about a sewer system expansion in the areas that are most impacted, and there is a price, approximate price around $20 to $22 million and that would mean getting rid of septic as much as possible and having people tap in to utilities. But most of this group was really about finding out that information. So we reviewed replacement rules under Ohio's health department regulations, because this is no longer just kind of a simple matter of, Mr. Horn, your septic's out, let's help you replace that. Because of EPA and different guidelines, the state of Ohio may say, no, actually where you're located, it can't be replaced, or it has to be replaced with a different kind of unit. So that's where that resident guidance is really going to be important. So we developed a flow chart with the health department for step-by-step guidance during the septic failure so that people can understand where they are. Financial assistance, obviously, being a homeowner, we do understand that the responsibility for a septic replacement and repair is on the homeowner. We also understand that there are barriers to that, considering it's, on average could be around $35,000 to replace the system. So we came about it, the health department found an EPA grant. They secured that grant, so we're really excited about that. But it's only going to help maybe 3 to 4 people a year who can reapply for that grant annually. And then there are some restrictions around those dollars for qualifying homeowners. There's also a proposal that we're looking to put before council about reigniting the revolving loan fund that used to exist to help with repair and replacement. So we're still in talks with that about how to come before council and what get the temperature for you all on that, from you all on that. Where maybe the goal would be we'd have slow failure rates and we'd have a pot in which we could kind of help people replace, repair, or in some cases, we do have the zero septic option, which you'll see on the next slide. Finally, a big part of this is landlord accountability, reinforcing landlord responsibility for system maintenance, repair, and replacement, helping renters know their rights and helping them understand that they're even on septic and what that means. Because a lot of the areas that we're talking about are rental property heavy. So the progress we made during our meetings, and there's a little, not assuming everyone understands the septic tank system, but ultimately what it's doing is moving that waste from your home. It flushes it out through a system, and then there's leach fields and all this good stuff. But recent progress, we met monthly for nearly a year to really kind of work through some of this information and educate ourselves, or a little over, yeah, definitely a year. And we created and refined a flow chart for greater clarity for educational purposes. And then, of course, we're awarded the grant by the EPA. We are waiting on grant finalization from them. That is a reimbursable grant, so we would need a pot of money to kind of be able to start that process where we to get anyone who could qualify to use those funds. Next steps, continue to seek a pot of funding, knowing that the youngest, again, among the systems is from 1968. Supporting residents and engaging everyone involved, continuing to engage leadership, decision makers, and residents. Possibly a town hall, once we really can solidify what we're able to do at this point, to update residents and gather their feedback on the process. Finally, so we're starting to play around with getting information out to the residents in impacted areas. But this is kind of what it looks like if your septic system was to fail. There would be an initial complaint received, whether that was self-reported, whether it was visibly seen. There would be an assessment, an initial notice. So that's a notice of violation from the health department that requires immediate attention. If you receive one of those, it looks, so those, that might mean that your system has to be pumped or treated, and then there's follow-up about whether or not there could be a replacement happening or should happen. Assess options. The systems can be repaired or replaced. Of course, then you have permitting. And then you have whether or not you can do the conventional or alternative. And this looks like whether there's room for the above ground system and all of that. So that's what that initial piece is about. The second notice letter will go out, and it will talk about the alterations or the replacement. And then if their replacement is required, you'll need to look at site design and soil analysis. Okay, so it is a kind of a complex process. Funding options right now, self-pay, obviously the homeowner might be able to tap into some home equity, or they may have savings. A revolving loan, again, that used to be something that the city had, and then the state grant program. And there are occasionally agency dollars that we would be able to maybe monitor if anything like that was available. Other considerations, site space, the size of the property, floodplain zone, the type of soil, and then of course the ability for someone to pay. Ultimately, what the health department never wants to have to do is zero septic, which means they have to knock on the door and there's immediate evacuation of the property. And at that point, the best we could do is offer maybe some referrals for relocation assistance with local agencies, in partnership with local agencies. So we just wanted to come before you and show you what we've been working on, because this has been an important issue to residents, and it will be an important issue to us as those systems begin to fail. Any questions?
Any comments or questions? None at this time? All right. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank you and everybody who's been a part of that task force. Good work.
That's all for me.
All right. Thank you so much. That concludes our city manager's reports. Our next agenda item this evening is the motion agenda. We have 5 items this evening. Mrs. Skank, please present item A on the motion agenda.
Item A is to receive, file, and adopt the 2026 tax budget for the Midpoint Library.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve item A to accept the 2025 tax budget for the library?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? 2026. Forgive me.
I'm sorry, did I misspeak?
I said 2025.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was me.
Okay.
So there's been a motion to accept the 2026 tax budget. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mayor Slamka?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item B on the motion agenda.
To authorize the city manager to grant a permanent easement to Duke Energy on city-owned parcel number Q65110260000003 located at the Middletown Regional Airport.
Thank you, Mrs. Skank. Is there a motion to accept item B to grant the permanent easement to Duke Energy?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr. Horn?
Is this, I'm assuming this is Butler Tech, is that correct? The easement?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what it's for.
Yes. Next to Butler Tech, or actually they're right there next to Butler Tech. Yes. Any other discussion? Questions? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mayor Slamka? Yes. Mr. Lawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item C on the motion agenda.
To request approval to purchase a 2026 Ford F-550 4x4 cab, truck, and chassis from Utility Truck Equipment Incorporated of Circleville, Ohio, in the amount of $185,398 for the Parks Maintenance Department.
Thank you, Mrs. Skank. Excuse me, Ms. Combs, do you have the staff report?
Yes, the Parks Maintenance Department needs to replace its 1997 Ford F-350, which is 155 months overdue according to the city's replacement schedule. The truck will be sold on GovDeals. The alternatives are do not purchase the new truck. The Parks Maintenance Department should continue using the old one. However, the truck is 28 years old and overdue for replacement. Ongoing maintenance and repairs will be necessary, and due to its age and wear, that could be very costly.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions that we have for, I'm sorry, forgive me, is there a motion to approve item C to request the 2026 Ford F-550?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, item D, please.
To request a correction to the vendor name for purchase of a Sutphen heavy-duty 75-foot mid-mount aerial ladder truck, Quint, that was approved by City Council on June 3rd from Heritage Fire Equipment to Sutphen Corporation.
Thank you, Mrs. Skank. Ms. Combs, the staff report?
Nothing to add. Exactly what Amy said.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve item D to correct the vendor name?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes. The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mrs. Skank, please present item E.
Authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with John R. Jurgensen Company to proceed with the 2025 arterials paving project in the amount of $3,951,374.20.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
The city plans to proceed with the 2025 ODOT urban paving project, which involves repaving Grand Avenue, Manchester Road, and Briel Boulevard. The project will also replace defect curbs, drive aprons, sidewalks, handicap ramps, and pave markings. This company was 6% below the engineer's estimate.
Thank you very much, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve item E to authorize the city manager to enter into this contract for road paving?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. This concludes the motion agenda. The next item on the agenda is legislation. We have 7 items of legislation this evening. Law Director, Mr. Alex Ewing, the legislation, please.
Yes, I believe item number 1's been removed, so we'll start with item number 2. Ordinance number 2025-35, an ordinance establishing the Cristo Townhomes Incentive Districts and declaring improvements to certain real property within each of the Cristo Townhomes Incentive Districts to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, identifying certain public infrastructure improvements to be made in the process of being made, or that once made, will benefit or serve the parcels in each of the Cristo Townhomes Incentive Districts, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of real property taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments, and approving related matters. Second reading.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, do you have anything to add?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will go ahead and proceed to vote unless there is, forgive me. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 3, resolution number R 2025-19. A resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, Counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. Police Grant Fund.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
The City of Middletown will receive funding from the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services for the 2024 initiative, which aims to enhance evidence management and training related to sexual assault investigations. Key components include improved transportation of sexual assault kits, specialized training for personnel, and expanded evidence solutions. In 2025, grant funding will allow the purchase of 12 flock cameras and a mobile security trailer to enhance city surveillance and crime response capabilities.
Thank you, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 4, resolution number R 2025-20. A resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. Fire Station Levy Fund.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
So this is to purchase appliances for the new fire stations 81 and 85. They need to purchase refrigerators, dishwashers, and stoves to replace worn-out equipment. Existing washers and dryers will be moved from the older stations. The lowest bid from Home Outlet Direct is $9,398 for both stations, with an additional $200 for installation supplies. This request is less than half of the projected soft cost, and the funds will be located from the fire station levy.
Thank you very much, Ms. Combs. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly, I think you're good. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just have one quick question for Lowell. Why does a $9,000 purchase have to come to us? Isn't this something that this can be done administratively by staff?
I would want to double check what the threshold is, but yes, typically, smaller purchases don't need full approval, but.
Yeah, just curious why this, if you could check in the future, I just wonder.
Can do.
Why this is even really coming to us. It should be, thought was able to be done at the staff level. I don't know if maybe it's because it's part of the levy fund.
That's what I was wondering, is
It's
it
the
a
only
levy
thing I'm
fund?
thinking maybe, but still, that money's been appropriated. Just if we could look at it for the future.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions at this time? Discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 5, ordinance number O 2025-36, an ordinance authorizing the amendment of a contract with Adleta Incorporated for the 2025 ODOT Urban Paving Project, concrete repairs, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
On December 17, 2024, the City Council approved a contract with Adleta for the amount of $125,560.18 to repair concrete curbs, drive aprons, sidewalks, and handicap ramps on Roosevelt Boulevard and between Roosevelt and University Overpass and Jackson Lane. The construction is complete and the final project cost is 2.5% over the original contract amount. Final quantities were determined based on the actual measurements verified by city staff and the contractor.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slanka.
Yes. The yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the next item, please.
Item number 6, ordinance number O 2025-37, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the purchase of one Milner 30015 VRJ washer extractor and 3 Milner FC3 fire gear guardian drying cabinets for new fire stations 81, 82, and 85 from H&M Laundry Equipment and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
So this is to request and approve appropriation of funds to purchase a fire gear extractor and dryers. Firefighters face cancer risk from toxic substances in their gear. Effective cleaning per the NFPA standards is crucial. Currently, gear cleaning is insufficient and poses contamination risk. The Milner equipment will ensure thorough cleaning and fast drying, improving firefighters' safety. So the total cost is $67,158.95, including installation. And again, that would be coming from the fire station levy.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr. Horn?
I'm with Mr. Lawley. We have and maybe we need to help the law director. Our city manager has a checkbook of $100,000. Anything below that, she's allowed to write. Is that correct?
Well, that's where I'm getting a little bit confused also. What is brought to us under $100,000 and what is, because I'm seeing stuff brought to us that's less than $100,000 and then stuff's not. So I guess if law could come back to us and give us a little bit of guidance on that, or.
Did we move the threshold? I mean, I thought it was.
It was $25,000.
Right.
But the last council, I believe.
We moved
raised
it to 100 because of
100,000.
cruisers, police cruisers.
Because because of the police cruisers. We couldn't buy police cruisers because as soon as 3 became available, a city said, I'll take them, and
We couldn't approve
do
it
because
in
we
time.
had to come back to the city council just to spend $25,000.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, take a look into it.
I'm just curious what we have to and what we don't.
I can provide an update to
Thank
council.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? No. Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mrs. Skank, please call the roll.
Mrs. Carter.
Yes.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn.
Yes.
Mayor Slamka.
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Mr. Ewing, the last item, please.
Item number 7, ordinance number O-2025-38, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the purchase of Dell Virtual Environment hardware from Insight Public Sector Incorporated and declaring an emergency. No action requested until July 1, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing. Ms. Combs, the staff report, please.
Staff recommends that City Council approve the purchase of a new Dell virtual environment to replace the city's current end-of-life infrastructure. This procurement will utilize Omnia Partners' cooperative purchasing contract, waiving formal bidding requirements. The current virtual environment is no longer supported and is critical for daily operations, including financial systems, email, and file storage. Timely replacement is essential to prevent downtime and data loss. The proposed Dell solution, acquired through Insight Public Sector, will provide a scalable and secure computing resources. The key elements of this purchase include hardware cost at $239,494, software cost $54,161.36, and again, the vendor is Insight Public Sector. The cooperative contract would be Omnia Partners. The acquisition will ensure continuous city services and improve the system reliability.
Thank you very much, Ms. Combs. As this is a second reading emergency, there is no action to be taken at this time. However, is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, this concludes the legislation for the evening. The next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Do any council members have anything they would like to bring up under unfinished business?
I would like to know what's happening with the park benches that we were talking about installing in different parks.
Is Scott, would you like to come up and give an update?
Scott Tadich, our Director of Public Works.
We are still waiting for those to be delivered. They were ordered some time ago. I have to check. I know they're custom made, but they have not been received yet. So, but that's still in process.
And so my understanding, there were a few people from the neighborhood also wanting.
Oh, well then, so we have the two, I think, for J.D. Vance's mother, and then for Ellen Brown. And then we were contacted by, I think, South Main Historic District. They want to put one in Old South Park as well. So, but they're all in process. So, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tadich. Anything else under unfinished business? Hearing none, we will proceed. The next item is new business. Do any council members have any new business they would like to bring up this evening? All right. Seeing none, we will proceed. The next item on the agenda is executive session. Do I hear a motion to move to executive session under the authority of ORC 121.22G4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment?
Motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to move to executive session. We will proceed to vote. Ms. Skank, please call the roll.
Mr. West.
Yes.
Mr. Horn,
Yes.
Mayor Slanka,
Yes.
Mrs. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Lawley.
Yes.
Yeses have it, and the motion passes. Council will now move to executive session.